Let us wait for some time. Let the students join. A very good morning to all of you. Am I audible? Sunny Srivastav, you are asking for the difference between the framework and library. If I talk about the JavaScript libraries, they basically consist of functions that an application can call to perform any task. Whereas a framework, if we talk about framework, basically defines how a developer designs a particular application. Framework basically calls or application code. I hope Sunny, is this clear? Okay. So, yesterday's class, you all have got an idea what we are going to do in HTML and CSS. So, let's start with the basics of the HTML. So, there are many students who are just the beginners. So, we'll be starting from the scratch. This will help you to create your first project. So, a very good morning. So we'll be covering HTML and CSS. Now in the HTML, we'll start with how HTML can be used to create web pages. I think you all can see a document shown to you. How we can create documents, how we can write words on the pages, how we can add tags and elements to the words so that your browser knows what text or a paragraph begins and ends, and so on. We are going many things with the tags and elements in the HTML. Then we move to a little bit the trickier concepts like inserting images, tables, audios, videos. Then after that, we'll move on to the CSS. CSS is basically CSS will help you to get control of your web page, like how you can style your web page, how your web page appears on the screen, to control its properties. CSS is basically giving you features for that, how your presentation will look like for a particular page, and the layout of the page. So we are covering this part also, the CSS. In the presentation, what we'll do is we'll try to change the color of the text, the fonts, size of the fonts, how we can add background color to the pages, how we can add background images, and in the layout, we'll basically uh, make the web pages more attractive. That how we can place different elements on a particular page. This we'll be going to use the CSS properties to make it more attractive. So in the yesterday's class, you have got a little idea about what is actually HTML. HTML is basically your hypertext markup language. Hypertext markup language for creating web pages. For creating web pages, it basically describes the structure of your entire web page. It consists of series of elements, so many elements we have in the HTML. Now, what is the role of this HTML? It basically tells the browser how to display a particular document or a web page on your screen. So in the last class, Anirudh have told you about the basic structure of your web page, that every web page, basically HTML web page, consists of the tags. Some tags have require the closing, whereas other tags are open tags, they don't require the closing. And the structure of the HTML page basically consists of the HTML, then comes the head, then title, then after title your head will close, then body which appears on your screen, the main text, and then the HTML is closed. So before going to the coding part, let's talk about how basically everybody access the web. How you access the web? You basically access the web with the help of your web browser. Now, what are browsers? You might be using different types of browsers like Firefox, Internet Explorer, Safari, Chrome, Opera. So many browsers you are using. So what is these browsers doing actually? What is the role of these browsers? You access any website with the help of your browser. It is nothing but a software. What do, you open your web browser, you type, in order to view any web page, you type a web address there, right? When you type a web address and click on enter, what your browser do is it shows you so many links, that these links are from different websites. Now what you do with those links, either you open your web page by clicking on the link, or you make it as a bookmark. So the first way in which you are accessing the web is with the help of a web browser. So your web browser is nothing but a software which is helping you to open a particular web page. Next comes how you access your web with the help of web servers. When you send a request basically to a browser, the request is sent to the server. Now what is server? Server is a special computer which hosts the website. What is server? Server is a special computer situated remotely, which is basically hosting the website. Now, when you send a request from your browser, your request is sent to the server. Now, server responds with the answer, means the server sends the response. Another way to access the web is that you access the web with different types of devices. There are so many devices that you can use to access your web. You may be using desktop computers, some of you may be using laptops, tablets, mobile phones. So why I'm going through with this is, when we are designing any page, we need to keep in mind these things, that how people access your web pages. They might be using different devices. So when you design a web page, you should keep in mind about that these devices have different screen sizes. Some devices may offer you faster connections to the web as compared to the others. So these things needs to be kept in mind while designing your web pages. Another method to access the web page is with the help of screen readers, which are basically used by visually impaired people. Now, what are screen readers? These are the programs that read out the contents of a computer screen to a particular user. These types of program, the screen readers, are basically accessed by the people that are visually impaired. So this is the way how people actually access the web. Now coming to how the websites are created. Now what you see is basically your browser, right? You open your browser, and if you want to see any particular website, you can see it with the help of your browser. It means that your browser is getting HTML code or a CSS code from a remotely situated machine, which is nothing but a server. Because that server is hosting a particular website for which you have requested. So that server is sending the HTML or CSS to your browser, and your browser basically understands the code for HTML and CSS, and the basis of that it displays you a particular website on the screen, and that website you see. So it means that your browser understands the hypertext markup language and the CSS, JavaScript also, and some Flash thing also. Now, how we create basically any website or a web page? So for that, we'll be using HTML and CSS. Websites can also be created using some complex tools along with HTML and CSS. You may include different things, different technologies to create your websites. Now the question comes, how web basically works? How web basically works? When you visit a particular website, what happens? The web server hosting that site could be anywhere in the world. That could be in, if you suppose access google.com, that google.com server may be placed in Bangalore or may be placed in Florida, Germany, anywhere. So how you will find the exact location of that web server to access any page which is stored there? So there comes the role of DNS, that is domain name system server. So what you do is, when you try to access any web address and you type that address into your web browser, then your computer try to connect to a server which is basically a DNS server. That basically, the DNS server then tells you about the exact IP address associated with that domain name, that web address that you have given. Domain name servers have a file kind of structure, a table kind of structure, where in the left hand side, suppose you have abc.com, and corresponding IP address is stored in the next column. So when you write in your browser, I want to access a page stored on abc.com, and then you press enter, your system first tries to find out what is abc.com. Then that abc.com actually is converted into an IP address with the help of your DNS server. So your DNS server gives you the domain name, the IP address corresponding to the domain name. Then with the help of that unique number, the DNS server returns you with the corresponding web server's address, and you can access your website on that. The web server then sends the page that you requested to your web browser. This is the entire process which is actually followed when you access any page stored on the server. Now, let's learn how to structure any document. You might have gone through the yesterday's class where Anirudh has already told you about the basic structure of your web page. Now, in this starting section, we'll be learning about how HTML describes the structure of a particular web page, how we can add different tags or elements. Tags and elements means the same thing, okay, to our web page. This we can learn with our simple example, which is showing you a little structure of an HTML page. If let us suppose I want to create a simple page like this, where I want to show on the top that this is a certificate course on modern web development tools, and beneath that you want to write something. So this kind of web page can be created with a simple code. Now I'm just showing you my web page. Example, we'll be looking at examples for every topic that we are going to cover. Now you can see this type of page. If you want to create, now how you can create it basically. HTML is hypertext markup language, which I told in the beginning. Yes, now you can see the code of the very first HTML page. The HTML page should start with the HTML tags. Tags are written in the angular brackets. If you see here, every tag is written in the angular bracket. So this document should start with the HTML tag. HTML tag is requires the closing. So at the end of the entire body that you want to display on the screen, you will close this tag. After the HTML tag comes the head tag. In the head tag, what we do is we give the heading. Then comes the title. The title will be displayed on the browser's. Yes, the title will be displayed or shown in the browser title bar. HTML tag is basically the root element, we say, the root element of your document, and beneath it comes the head, which basically contains the meta information about the HTML page. Meta information means information about the data that you are displaying on your page. Meta information means the information about the information. Means the data that you are displaying on the web page, it basically contains the information about that only. So this tag contains your title tag. Title tag is basically shown in the browser title bar. Then we close the head tag. Then comes the body tag. This is the tag which is known as the container. Container for what? For all types of contents that you want to display on your web page. If you want to display text, image, audio, video, everything will be written inside the body tag. So whatever you write in the body tag, it will be displayed on your browser window. This is known as the container tag. So this is actually the basic structure of your any HTML document. Now we everybody knows that there are different versions of HTML. Earlier we were using HTML3, then HTML4, then came the HTML5. So which type of version you are using, your document is basically using. You can specify this with the help of a doc type statement. What you can do is at the beginning, before the HTML tag, you can write here exclamation doc type HTML. This doc type, the purpose of doc type is to tell you which HTML version you are using. By getting this type of code, your browser will understand what type of version of HTML this page is using. So when your browser receives the HTML code from the server, then it will understand by looking at the first statement, that is doc type, which type of HTML version you are using. Your HTML, this is basically the structure of your HTML page. Now, within the body, if you can see here, I have written H1. This is for the heading. We can have 6 levels of headings, starting from the highest level H1 and the lowest level H6. H1, every type of heading has a specific size associated with it. We can use the CSS feature to change the size of your heading. By default, every heading type has a specific size. So H1 is the top, the biggest size, the largest size heading. Then, which is basically used to show the main heading of your document. Then you want to add the subtitle, then you can use H2, then subtitle for again a subtitle, then you can use H3, and so on. The least important one can be shown with the help of H6. We'll be learning headings just after this. Then comes, then I have written P tag. That is for the paragraph tag. This paragraph tag basically contains your paragraph. It starts with the new line. Whatever you write inside it, it starts with the new line. So I hope the basic structure of HTML document is clear. You can respond in the chat box so that we can move further. So we are moving ahead to see how we can create hierarchy of information. Hierarchy means the very important one comes at the top, then comes the next important thing, then comes the next important thing, and so on with the help of headings. So if we want to create a document that contains different levels of headings, you can see this type of document if you want to create, where we have a main heading at the top which looks the biggest amongst all, then comes the subheading, and then comes another subheading, and so on. We have 6 levels of headings available. So how we can create a page using this type of structure. So for this, you can see here how to create this page. Now see this. We have an HTML tag at the top, then came the body. If you need to add the title to the browser, you can include after HTML head tag and then the title inside it. Now you can also omit that and start with the main body of your HTML document. The body is basically the container that will be shown on the browser. So inside the body, what I have written is h1 tag. Inside this h1 tag, I have given the text as main heading. Then I have given the paragraph tag, and I have written you can write an introduction of your whole page, the web page that you want to display in the main heading. Then paragraph tag requires closing, so I have closed it. Heading tag is also the main tag and required closing of the tag. Then comes the h2, which is basically for the subheading. So here h2 tag, inside it I have written the subheading, then the paragraph. Inside the paragraph I have written the text. Long documents may be structured using subheadings. When we are going to use all these types of subheadings? When we have a very long document that contains your main text, then the subheading, and inside it again a subheading, and so on. Then we can use this type of structure. So using h1 tag, h2 tag, we have created another heading. Yeah, you can write here h3. All these three have different sizes, font sizes. So they will be shown when you will save this file and show it on the browser. Then these three headings will have different sizes, font sizes. So if you see here, how to you can use text editor like Notepad I'm using here to create my HTML document. Save your file with the extension .html, save it, and then open it in your browser. Then you can see your web page that you have created. You can use a text editor, save your file with .html, and then you can open that file in your web browser. So now you can see this file that we have created. It has three types of headings: main heading, subheading, and another subheading. These three headings are of different sizes. The main heading is the biggest one. Then the subheading, which is smaller than the main heading because I have used here the H2 level. Then the third heading is smaller than the second heading because we have used here H3 heading. So in order to have this type of structure in your web page where you have to put the main heading to explain whatever you want to show on that particular page, you can use your main heading. Then the subtopics, if you want to display, you can use the subheadings with the help of H2 to H6 tags. Yes, in the main page, you can create it with your index.html. Now, moving on to the next thing, attributes. Now, what are attributes? We'll be using many attributes in your HTML. Basically, all HTML elements have attributes. Attributes basically are used to provide additional information about your tags or elements that you are using. They are always specified in the start tags, not in the closing tag. All the attributes needs to be specified in the start tag, and they basically come in the name value pair. They come in the name value pair. Every attribute has a name and every attribute should have a value. So like here, you can see I have taken one example to show you how we can give the name value pair for the attributes. Like for paragraph, if we are writing a paragraph, we can specify that which type of language in which we are writing the paragraph. So paragraph tag can have an attribute lang to specify the type of language we are putting here, to specify the type of language we are using. So lang is basically the name of the attribute here. Lang is basically the name of the attribute. And the value for the attribute can be written by putting equal to sign, and in the double quotes you can give the value of that attribute. So paragraph tag has a language attribute and whose value written is basically US English. So whatever paragraph you are writing, your browser will understand that it's in US English. Now let's start with the working. We'll first start with the text, then move on to the images, audios, videos, and so on. So with the text, what we are going to learn is how we can can add headings that we have already seen. We have 6 levels of headings that we can include in your web page. In order to include titles, subtitles, you can use headings. And we have 6 tags to include the heading. H1 to H6. We have 6 levels. We have already seen here. I will show you the example also. I have included. Now here you can see that we have included 6 types of headings. The H1, which is here for the main heading. I'm showing you a document. In this, I have created a page that contains 6 levels of headings. Now see, H1 is basically to create your main heading, then H2 tag, the subheading, H3 tag is for another subtitle, and so on till H6. I told you that every heading has a default size. So if you want to change the size of the heading, which is default, you want to customize it. You want to give the heading with your own size. So you have to use the CSS font size property here. Now I will show you how we can change the default font size of the heading. I am using here a bit of CSS. In this I am using H1 heading. I am using an attribute style. You can see here I have written attribute style in the H1 heading. Style attribute specifies the font size in the pixels. Now, what I have written here is that style is equal to font size, whatever value you are giving for the attribute, you have to specify in the double quotes. So inside the double quotes, what I have written is font size as 60 pixels. So when I write this, the default heading size of H1 will now be 60. You can increase this also by giving the font size as 90, 100, whatever you want to show. So let us suppose I am giving here 90 and save it. Save as third.html. Yes. Now I will open this in my browser. Now this document will show, when I open it in the browser, it is showing me that there are 6 levels of headings, H1 to H6. I have customized the size of the heading using a little bit of CSS. What CSS I have used here? The property that is font size. And this property can be used within an attribute style. Now you can see the page displayed. This is a main heading. Now this heading's default size has been changed. Now the default size of this heading has been changed. So now I have turned it into 90 pixels, means this is bigger than the default one. Depending upon your requirement, you can change the size of your HTML heading. So for this, you have to use the CSS. So a little bit CSS I'm introducing here, that I'm using CSS font size property in a style tag. I hope this is clear. How you can change the size of any type of heading. You can change the level 2 heading with all by using style inside it, level 3 also, level 4 also, level 5 also, and level 6 also. Now let's move forward to specify the paragraphs. We use the paragraph tag. It requires opening and closing both. By default, this shown in a new line. Now in this, I will show you few more things. Like say, I open one document, fourth here. Now see, I have created a simple document where I have created a small paragraph with a paragraph tag. Can you see here? I have created a document with a small paragraph. I've written a paragraph contains one or more sentences. The paragraph starts with a new line. Now, this line is written inside the P tag, the opening tag P, and at the end I have closed it. Now, in the paragraphs, we can also use horizontal rules. Horizontal rules. Rules can be specified with HR tag. I have written HR, you can see here within the two paragraphs. I have written here one tag, HR tag. It is basically an empty tag, means there is no need for ending this tag, closing this tag. You can simply write HR and there is no need to close it. HR tag basically defines a thematic break in a page. Thematic break means a horizontal line to differentiate between the two paragraphs. This maybe we require when we create a document and we want to separate the two contents. We want to separate the two contents. Then we can use this horizontal tag here. Horizontal tag will basically display a horizontal rule. Horizontal rule means a line between the two paragraphs. So when you see this in your browser, let's save this as .html. Yes, now we will see it in our browser. So you can see a horizontal line displayed between the two paragraphs that I have written in the code. And this is very important when we are writing a page that contains the data and we need to segregate the two different paragraphs. We can use the horizontal rule here. Now see here, you can see a horizontal line. This is basically dividing the two paragraphs. Now let's move forward. Now, if you want to display a break, that you want to give a line break into your text, so you can use the empty tag br. Here, if I want to include a break, so what I can do is I can include a break tag. Br is for break tag, to give the line break. One line break you can give by one BR tag. If you want to give two line breaks, you can use two BRs here. BR is basically an empty tag. It does not require closing. So how many line breaks you want, you can write here like this: BR, BR, BR in a angular brackets. So I am giving here 3 line break. So written 3 times BR. Now you can see, once I have added 3 times BR, it is showing me a 3 line gap before the starting of the next paragraph. It has added a 3 line break before the next paragraph. Now you can see here that it has added a lot of gap before the second paragraph starts. This is added with the help of a break tag, line break tag. Now, moving on to the next type of element, that is tag, the pre-tag. Now, what is the role of pre-tag? Why we are using pre-tag? Let me show you an example. Let us take this one only and let's edit the paragraph. Suppose, let me remove this part. And I write one poem, like this. I'm writing a small poem and I expect, I have written poem in different lines by adding manually the line gaps. I have written this poem inside a paragraph tag and I want to show this poem in the screen. It's a dummy text that I am including. I want this to be displayed like this only on the screen. if I save it, say yes, and when I open it in the browser, you can see that because I have written it in the paragraph tag, the all the lines that I have written will appear in the same line on the web page. I want it should be displayed in basically your poem form, but because I have written it in the paragraph and I have added manually lot of space, the browser has not accepted it. So in order to display a poem in the form that I wanted, what we can do is we have a solution. Instead of giving it in a paragraph tag, we can give in a pre-formatted tag. Pre-tag. Pre-tag says that whatever formatting we are specifying, please use this as a same. Keep it in this pre-formatted format. So this is pre-tag is basically pre-formatted tag. Now if I change this in the document, the code, instead of P, I write here pre and save it. And now if I see this type of file in the browser, you can see here it has preserved the formatting of the paragraph. It has preserved the formatting of the paragraph. Now it is not showing all the lines in the same continuous paragraph. Now, whatever format I had given in the text, it has considered it as a pre-formatted text and it has shown in the browser. Whatever title you give in your program, it appears in the browser window at the top. You can see here, this is basically the title that you have given. Like I have given in my program, learn how to make paragraphs. So it is showing me in the title bar of the browser window that let's learn how to make the paragraphs. So I hope HR tag, horizontal ruling tag, pre tag to show the pre-formatted text is clear. Now we are moving on to the bold and italics tag. Now if you want to make your text bold, you can use the B tag. Let us suppose in the same document, if I want to make twinkle twinkle as bold, so I put this in the bold tag, B tag. For to make the text bold, we are using B tag. Yes, Soumya, we can use BR, but for this we need to write BR every time when we want a line break. So if suppose 100 lines are there, then you have to write BR many times. So in order to save writing the same text again and again, we can use the pre tag, which will help you to treat your text as a pre-formatted one and take it as it is. To make the text bold, we are using B tag. Whatever you write inside the bold tag, the opening and the closing tag of B, it will appear in a bold manner. And the text that you want to appear in italics, what you can do is you can include it in the I tag. Suppose I want how I wonder should appear in italics. I wonder in italics. So I have included here I tag. Yes. If you write more than one white space, means if you would give n number of white spaces in your text and you are including it in the paragraph, then your browser will ignore more white spaces and treat it as a single white space. So if you want to include more white spaces in your text, then you can use pre tag. Now, as you see, we have included the bold and italic tag here. So when I save it and display the page on the browser, we have saved the file to show the bold tag and the italics tag. Now when this page will open in the browser, you can see here twinkle twinkle, which was written in the bold tag, is shown here bold, and I wonder is written inside the italic tag. So now it is showing in the italics. Now moving on to further, I'll show you how we can show the text in subscript or superscript. In subscript or superscript. So let's take this same file and let me include one more line here. Suppose I write, he was born on 15th August 2001. Now if I want 15th, th of 15th should appear in the superscript. I want to write a sentence. He was born on 15th of August 2001, and the 15th, the th of 15th should appear in the superscript. So what I will do, I will include here the superscript tag sup and I will write th inside this tag. This tag requires opening and closing both. So the text that you want to appear in the superscript, you can include within the SUP tag. Now let us suppose you want to show something in the subscript. So let me take an example. I will write the level of H2O is depleting. Now in this line, I want to show H2O. The 2 of this should appear in the subscript. So I write the sub tag here. I include 2 in the sub tag. This tag also requires opening and closing both. So in this line, the level of H2O is depleting. I want 2 should appear in the bottom, that is the subscript of H. So I have included 2 in the sub tag, that is the subscript tag. Now we will save it and let's see the output. Now you can see that if you see this file in the browser, the 2 lines that we have written to show the subscript and the superscript will now be showing it as we wanted. Now see the 15th, the th of 15th is basically coming in the superscript, and the H2O, the 2 of this line H2O, the 2 is coming in the subscript of H. So we can use the subscript and the superscript wherever required. Now I'm showing you how we can use the strong and emphasis tag. Strong and emphasis tag. So let's edit the same file. I am writing one line here. Warning. Dogs. Here I am writing beware of dogs. Now I want to show the warning in the emphasis tag. That emphasis should be given on this tag, this value. So I will use em tag, which is for the emphasis. Now whatever text you want to emphasize on, write in the em tag. So now I have written warning in the emphasis tag. And the text that you want to show as a strong text will include it in the strong tab. So a paragraph. Write like this. Now here I have used the two new tags, emphasis and the strong. So let us open this in the browser now. You can see. Can you see here? When we have opened this in the browser, the warning keyword, the warning is written in the emphasis. So you can see here, warning is shown in bit emphasized form, and the paragraph, a paragraph, is written in the strong tab. So now it is shown in the bold manner. So if you want to put some emphasis on some words, you can include in the emphasis tag. And if you want to catch the eyes of the reader that something is very important in a particular definition or a text, so you can make it in the strong tab. I hope these tags are clear, so we can move forward. Next we are moving on to the quotations. Now if let us suppose I want to include quotations what I can do is I can use why we are using this quotation here. If you want to show that you are using some section of code or some section of text from the another source, if you are using some section of text from the another source, it's not your own text. So for that, you can use the HTML tag block quote, block quote, HTML tag block quote, which is used to define a particular section that it is quoted from the some other source. So if I write here, block quote. In this tag, we have to specify from where we are citing it. Means from where the text belongs to. जो टेक्स्ट हम यहाँ दिखाना चाह रहे हैं अपने पेज पर, क्योंकि ये हमारा नहीं है, सो हम इसे साइट करेंगे. In order to avoid the plagiarism, what we will do is we will cite it. So if let us suppose I have included some text from outside, so we will write in the block code tag the attribute height whose value is equal to the URL from which you have taken that text. So let us suppose I write here, I have taken some text from suppose internet speed and speedtest.net. So I will write here HTTPS the entire URL from where you are taking the text. You will write here HTTP and then the speedtest.net suppose colon www.speedtest.net. Give it in the quotes, close the angle bracket of the block quote, and here you can write the text that you are citing. Let us suppose I am citing anything that you can write. The net speed is around 128 Mbps during noon time. Anything that I want to write, I can write it here. That could be multiple lines or a single line. Then once you have written the text here which you are taking from somewhere else, you can close the block quote. You can close the block quote. Now save this and open it in the browser. Now I have saved it and I'm opening it in the browser. By default, when you are using a block quote, automatically your browser will add some indentation to the text that you have quoted. Means by default it will start the text from little right side of your screen. You can see here the line that I have written, that I am quoting it from somewhere else. For this, I am writing the line, the net speed is around 128 Mbps, etc. etc. So now this line has been started from little right. So this has been indented automatically. So whatever text you will take from somewhere else and you will cite it, automatically it will be indented on your screen. Now let us suppose you are including some text within your already written text. Let us suppose you are explaining something and some line you are taking from outside, so it will automatically be indented. Now if you want it not to be intended, show it in continuation with your existing paragraph. So what you can do is you can use CSS here to remove the indentation. You can use CSS here to remove the indentation. Now I will tell you how we can use it. We have to write it in the head. We will use the style tag here, and inside the style tag, style will tell you how to style your appearance of your text that you are showing in the block. So we'll write here block quote, and in the curly braces we will write here margin. कैसे margined हो? Margin left starting from the 0th position and then we will close this style tag. Now here what we are doing is we are trying to remove the indentation added by the block quote for the text that we are citing it from somewhere else. You are using it from some other source. So to remove the indentation, or if you want to specify the exact position from where it should start, so you can use the style tag in your head and specify that block code from the left margin, margin left with 0th location. Now save this. .html, and when you see it in your browser, you can see now that the left indentation that it has added, the left space, the extra space, indentation means the extra space that it has added from the left is being removed. Once we have used the style, the CSS property to control the appearance of the text on the page, and I have mentioned there that it should start from the left margin and the margin value would be 0. That don't leave any space from the left. So now it is starting from the extreme left. The net speed is around 128 Mbps and it is starting from the extreme left. The left indentation has been removed. You can see here how we are using a little bit of CSS to control the appearance of the text on the screen. So for this, what we have done is we have included style tag in the head and block quote left margin left with 0th index. You can specify instead of 0, you can write here anything from where you want to start, how much margin you want to keep on the left. So it will indent your text accordingly. So you are asking me that if I put this block code inside pre, will it work? So let me remove the new paragraph that I have created for this, and let me save it. Now if I show it on the browser, this will, can you see here? If I have included it in the pre tag, so it is considering that it is pre-formatted. Now your CSS is that the CSS value that you are giving at the top is basically useless because you are already specifying that it is pre-formatted. So when you will specify your block code tag inside the pre tag, it will treat it as it is. It will not format because you are already specifying it. The text which is written in the pre tag is pre formatted. So it will not format it according to the value that you are giving in the style tag. Because forcefully what you are doing is you are already saying this is pre-formatted, so display it as it is. Got it, for the. So if you want to format the text according to you, so you have to exclude it from the pre tag. Now moving on to the next tag, let us suppose the next tag that I'm telling you is about the giving the abbreviations and acronyms. How we can give the abbreviation and acronyms. Now, in order to give the abbreviations, what we can do is, let's start a paragraph here and write here. mm, Let us suppose I'm writing an abbreviation for professor. We often use this abbreviation. So for including abbreviation, we use the ABBR tag. ABBR. ABBR tag. Yes, for the precedence is given to the pre tag because this pre tag is forcefully telling the browser that don't format it, don't try to format it. Whatever we have given, show it as it is. That's why the preference will be given to your pre tag. So, in order to give the abbreviation in your text, we should explicitly specify that for what we are using the abbreviation. Suppose we often write, instead of writing full professor word, we write PROF for the professor. So, in the abbreviation tag, we have to give the attribute title, 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 which specifies the full form of the abbreviation that I am using. Means for professor, suppose I will write prof, and abbreviation tag requires closing. Abbreviation tag requires closing. So what does this abbreviation tag tell you? The attribute title is specifying that what does prof means? Prof means the professor. So I have included prof in the abbreviation tag, and for this prof, what title is actually treated? It is a professor. So I can write here professor. Uh, VK Singh is highly reputed for his contribution in the field of AI. So I will close my paragraph here. Now when I will save it, let me include some break tag here so that it will be shown in a better way. I will save it as HTML. What I have done is I have included the abbreviation tag, which is used to give the abbreviations. For this, we have included the title attribute, which is used to specify the full form of the abbreviation that we are going to use in our paragraph. I have here used. Now you can see here, when I have shown this file in the browser, the very first word, that is prof. If you see here, it is underlined with dotted line. When I take my cursor over it, it will show me the full form for this particular word, which is abbreviated. Now you can see I have taken the cursor to this prof keyword that it is showing, and it is showing me the full form of this short word that I am using in my paragraph. So at times when you are using short forms of some big words, so you can use this as abbreviation tag as this. See, there are two terms. One is abbreviation and another is acronym. Acronym is the complete short word. Like if I say North Atlantic Treaty Organization, and instead of writing this big word again and again, I use the initial letters of every word and make a word like NATO. NATO. So NATO is basically the acronym for North Atlantic Treaty Organization. So for this, to specify that you are using an acronym for a particular word, we have a separate tag. So in order to include acronym into our text, what we can do is, let's open this and clear, including one paragraph to show you the working of your acronym tag. Acronym, ACRONYM, acronym. For this, again we write the title equals to किस, टाइटल विल शो यू कि हम किसके लिए हम एक्रोनिम यूज करेंगे, उसका फुल फॉर्म होगा क्या. फॉर सपोज नॉर्थ एटलांटिक ट्रीटी organization. For this big word, I will use a small word like NATO. Inside this acronym tab, we can give the small word that we are using. We can give the text here. NATO is an organization that deals with treaty signed between Asian countries. And I close my paragraph here, save the file and open it in the browser. When I open this file in the browser, so I have written the line that it is an organization that deals with the treaty signed between different countries. Now, when we have saved this and opened it in the browser, you can see here that the word NATO is shown underlined, dotted in a dotted way, which means that this is basically an acronym. And if somebody wants to know what does this NATO means, you can take your cursor on it and it will show you the value for this NATO. So when I take my cursor onto the word NATO, it will show me the exact value. People get often get confused with the abbreviations and acronyms. So abbreviations are basically the short forms that you have created. An acronym is basically for a long word or a long text, you are using the initial characters to represent that value. So when we have taken our cursor on it, it is showing me that NATO stands for North Atlantic Treaty Organization. Is this clear? I hope this is clear to all. These now moving on to the next, moving on to the next tag for giving the citations. See, there are so many things for which you may be caught for plagiarism. So I am basically covering all the tags because you will include the text in your page, and you might be using some others content or so. So in order to avoid to get into the plagiarism, we basically, if we are taking any statement from outside, we give the credit to that particular source. So if you are suppose taking something from somebody's else content, so you can cite it. So for this we have a tag known as citation tag, cite tag. This tag you can specify, suppose I am taking wings of fire and I will cite it and I'm writing as the autobiography of Dr. APJ Kalam. I have included this text that autobiography of APJ Kalam, and I can include more lines regarding this. So for this, I am giving the citation as that I have taken the content from Wings of Fire, the very famous book of the autobiography by Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. So I have cited it and we can save it. By default, this text, the cited text will appear in the italics. In the italics. So when you save it and you see the text on your browser, you can see here the wings of fire is shown in the italics. So save your file in the HTML format, and when you will see this in your browser, the cited text, the text which is written in the cite at tag, you will see that in the italics. See here, Wings of Fire is written in the italics because it is cited. So this is your cite tag. Cite tag. Next, we are including the definition tag. Definition tag. Sometimes we define some new keywords, so we can include this in the definition tag. So for this, we have DFN as the tag, and inside DFN, we can give the definition. Let us suppose I am defining galaxy. I have given galaxy keyword in the definition tab, and I can write the definition in continuation. Then galaxy is a collection of millions of stars. Galaxy is a collection of millions of stars. So I am giving the definition of a galaxy here, and I have included the word galaxy in the definition tag. When I will save it and look it into the browser, now you can see here the term, the definition term appears differently. Galaxy word I have given in the definition tag, so it is showing me in the italicized. So whenever you are giving some definition, you can include the key term into the DFN tag, definition tag. Anuj, cite and italics are basically not same. Logically, they are not same. They are different. So when we are citing something, it will show the text by default in italics, but that is actually internally showing that I am taking this text from somewhere else. I am using some source, other source, to write the content. So logically, it will help you to get into the plagiarism. But if you are using somebody's else text and there you are using italics, it will not help you to. It will not save you from the plagiarism. So it means you are committing plagiarism in that case. So by looking into the back code, the source code of your file, when they will see that it is cited, it means you are giving credit to somebody else. Italics is not giving the credit to somebody else, it is showing your text in a different appearance. I hope this is clear. Now, let's move on to the next tag, which is basically an address tag. Address tag is used to add author of the page, the contact details of the author of the page, the owner of the page. So, how you can include the address tag? In address tag, you can give the contact information of the author, like your email address, your URL, your phone number, or any link for suppose LinkedIn or any social media handle you can give inside that. Now, how to include this address tag into your page? For this, we'll include a break tag here 3 times properly. Now I address. Now address. Maybe I give credit to this content is written by suppose Sakshi, and in the next line I want to give you can contact me, visit us at, or contact me at particular address, suppose my personal email address here. Like this, whatever information you want to include here, your contact details, or suppose address, college. That's it. So what you can do is you can close your address tag, save your file. You can give your details in the address tag. Basically these details consist of the owner's information, owner of the page information. So when you will open this in your browser, now you can see the details at the bottom. Open this page in the browser. Can you see the address part is showing at the bottom, and it is bit italicized and showing the content like this is the contact information of somebody who has created this page. So you can include the address tag to include this type of information. Now I will also show you one more part that you can include in your address. That okay, contact us this. Let me include in the last class Anirudh have told you that a tag is basically used to anchor, means link to something else. So let us suppose I am including the hyper referencing here, means I am linking to something else when I will click onto it. So I'm including here an attribute of a tag, that is href, and I will write here mail to colon the email address. Suppose gmail.com, double quotes, and here a tag, close. Now what will appear? Suppose my name will appear here. Closing of the A tag, that is your anchor tag. Let me save it and show you the output. Yes. Now when you will open this file in your browser, see here this text which is shown in the anchor tag will be shown in a blue color and underlined, means this will link us to somewhere else. See here what I have written in the anchor text, the mail to attribute, href attribute, and the value of the attribute is mail to the concerned person's email address. So by clicking onto it, you can see the option, the app is open for mailing. Getting it? So a person can directly open the application to mail to this particular person whose name is written and whose email address is linked with it. So with this, we have used this address attribute to link to a particular person who is the owner of the page or the creator of the page. We have given the entire details and the link to which you can contact that person. So at the bottom, when you will create your own page, try to mention your email address at the bottom. So by using the anchor tag, we have linked the name with the email. And by clicking onto the name, an email application will open and you can email that person. I hope these tags are clear to you. You can put the message in the chat box. I hope the tags that we have learned today that are related to the text, are all these tags clear to you? Any doubts till this? because in the next class we'll be moving on to the images, video and audio. Okay, good. If you're not having any doubts and things are clear to you, you can create your dummy page by using all these tags. These all tags are compatible with HTML5. So if you are using HTML5, you can use all these tags. Now we'll be sharing attendance with you. Don't leave without filling the attendance. We will also be sharing the document and the example files so that you can revise all these topics, and you can also have a look on the practical examples. Attendance has been shared on the chat window. I request everyone to fill the attendance. You can also put on the chat that if this speed is okay with you. Okay. All of you are requested to fill the attendance before leaving the live stream. Yeah, sure, I'll be showing it. You can see here. Rahul, I'm showing it. I hope everybody has filled the attendance. Okay. Rahul, you can see the notepad file is open. Yes, beta, you can leave. You're welcome, Sanithe, you're welcome, Beta. You're welcome, Naveen, Rahul, Prince, Anuj. Thank you, Fardeen. You're welcome. You're welcome, Shreya. You're welcome, Tanya. Everyone, don't forget to fill your attendance. If you will skip the attendance, there might be a problem at the end. So, for certifications, you need to fill the attendance daily for every lecture. We'll be closing the stream now. I hope everybody has filled the attendance.